My YouTube channel. In today's video, I will teach you the first chapter of his first flight, A Letter to God by G.L. Fuentes. This chapter tells that faith can move mountain. This chapter, A Letter to God, is written by G.L. Fuentes. So before going to the text, we should know about the author G.L. Fuentes. Gregorio Lopez y Fuentes was Mexican novelist, poet, and journalist. He was one of the leading chroniclers of the Mexican Revolution. He started writing at the age of 15 when Mexican Revolution began. Many of his books are related to the civil conflict. Later on, he became a teacher of literature at a school in Mexico City. His stories were seen as exciting, humorous, and symbolic of Mexico. He is a realist. Many of his works concerned the oppression of Native Americans. He has written many books, including El Indio, which is written in 1935, Claros de Silva, 1921. Setting of the play. The setting means rural Mexico, likely early to mid 20th century is the setting of the play. Values imparted. This story tells us that trust in God's providence even in difficult times and the importance of compassion and kindness in human interactions. The next point is humanity is the true religion. Now let's start the text. The chapter A Letter to God is all about a farmer Lencho and his deep faith in God. There are mainly two characters in this chapter, A Letter to God. Who are they? They are the Postmaster and Lencho himself. So first of all, let me tell you the plot of the story. The story is about a farmer who was solely dependent upon his crops. His crops were ready, which always gave him good harvest, but his crops needed little bit rain. Lencho lived in the single house which was at the top of a low hill. From that height one could see the river and the field of ripe corn. Lencho's family consisted of his wife and his children. Everyone in the family supported him in his work, and everyone in the family trusted in God. Lencho, since morning, Lencho was expecting rain. It rained. Lencho was happy, but the rain did not last long. The rain changed into hailstones, and it destroyed Lencho's crop field. Lencho became very sad, as he had no means of survival. So he had only one hope. That was the hope from God. Lencho was a farmer, but he was an educated man. He decided to set up a communication to God. He wrote a letter to God in which he described his problem and demanded 100 pesos and then dropped the letter to the mailbox. When the letter was received by the postman, he laughed as the letter was addressed to God, and he thought that it was a mere foolishness as nobody ever tried to set up communication with God. Then the letter was given to the postmaster. The postmaster was a very amiable man. He was a very kind hearted, charitable, helpful man. He also loved to see the content and the address, but he immediately turned serious to see that man's trust in God, and he decided to help the man to keep his faith in God. He collected money from the employees of the post office. He himself gave part of his salary, and he had also taken money from his friends as an act of charity. But the amount which was demanded by Lencho was too heavy. He was able to collect only 70 pesos. Instead of thinking a lot, he kept the money in an envelope, and he kept a single page with a single letter God in it and dropped it in the mailbox. The next Sunday, when Lencho came for the answer from God, the letter was given to Lencho, and Lencho was not little bit surprised. That was his faith in God. But when he opened the letter, he was angry at as there were 70 pesos. Lencho thought God neither made mistake nor could make counting mistake. As the letter was sent by God, God could never make counting mistake. So Lencho thought that God had sent 100 pesos to him, but the 30 remaining pesos had been taken by the post office employees. So he had taken another envelope and wrote another letter to God, in which he instructed God not to send the remaining amount of money through the post office, as the post office employees were crooks, were criminals, were cheaters. They had taken the money, and the chapter came to an end. So let's start the text in detail. I hope it is visible to all of you. So let's start the text. The house, the only one in the entire valley. Entire means whole. WHOLE. Valley means dale. DALE. Sat on the crest. Crest means top of a low hill. Meaning is given, top of a hill, of a low hill. So whose house? Lencho's house was the only house in the whole valley which was situated at the top of a low hill. From this height, one could see the river. From this height, one could see the river and the field of ripe corn dotted with the flowers that always promised a good harvest. Here, look at the meaning. Ripe means mature. Ripe means mature. Okay. Corn means, meaning is given, a plant grown for grain. Harvest means crop. From Lencho's house, one could see the river which flew from there, and the field of ripe corn which always promised him a good harvest. Please write the meanings. The only thing the earth needed was a downpour. Downpour means heavy rain, or shower. Shower means light rains. The earth needed heavy rain or little bit rain. Downpour means heavy rain and shower means light rain. Throughout the morning, Lencho, who knew his fields intimately means closely. Intimately means closely. Closely. Very closely. So throughout the morning, Lencho, who knew his field intimately, had done nothing else but see the sky towards the northeast. So in which direction he was looking at the sky? He was looking at the sky. So he was looking towards the northeast. So Lencho had done nothing since morning. He had been looking at the sky towards the northeast, as he was expecting rain. Means I hope you understood. Now we are really going to get some water woman. Lencho told his wife that they would get some water for the crops. The woman who was preparing supper means dinner or evening meal. Supper means dinner or evening meal. Replied, yes, God willing. Willing means God wishing. Replied means answered. Replied means answered. And willing means wishing. So the lady who was preparing dinner for the family answered to Lencho that God would wish that. The older boys were working in the field while the smaller ones were playing near the house until the woman called to them all. Once the food got prepared, Lencho's wife called the older boys who were working in the field, and the smaller ones were playing near the house. Come for dinner. It was during the meal. Meal means food, that just as Lencho had predicted. Lencho had predicted. Predicted means to foretell. F-O-R-E-T-E-L-L. Foretell means to tell what will happen in future. Replied is done. Predicted. Predicted means to foretell. Foretell means to tell what will happen in future. To tell what will happen in future. Big drops of rain began to fall. So Lencho's prediction came true as it started raining. In the northeast, huge means very big. Huge means very big. Huge mountains. Huge means very big. Huge mountains of clouds could be seen approaching. Approaching means coming near. Approaching means to come near. Approaching means to come near. So, from the northeast, huge mountains of clouds could be seen coming near. It means Lencho saw that the huge mountains of clouds were coming near the field. The air was fresh and sweet. The man went out for no other reason than to have the pleasure of feeling. Pleasure means happiness. Pleasure means happiness of feeling the rain on his body. So Lencho went outside without any cause. Reason means any cause. The man stands for the Lencho. Lencho went out of the house without any cause, but to enjoy the rain on his body. Enjoy the happiness of rain. And when he returned, he exclaimed. Exclaimed means cried with surprise. These aren't raindrops falling from the sky. They are new coins. So this is very important question that came many times. So when after returning back, Lencho compared the raindrops to new coins. The big drops are 10 cent pieces and the little ones are 5s. So question came, why did Lencho compare the raindrops to new coins? Lencho compared the new raindrops to new coins because of two reasons. The first one, raindrops would give Lencho a good harvest, and after selling the harvest, he would earn money and support his family. Second, the raindrops were as shiny as new coins. That's why. With a satisfied expression, satisfied means contented. Expression, expression expression means show of feelings, show of feelings. With the satisfied expression, return means to come back. Please write down the meaning. Pleasure means happiness. Exclaim means cried with surprise. So with a satisfied expression, he regarded the field of ripe corn with its flowers draped in, draped meaning is given, covered in curtain of rain. So Lencho looked at the field which was completely covered with rain. Means Lencho looked at the field in a satisfied manner. Means being satisfied, Lencho looked at the field which Lencho looked at the crops which got completely covered with rain. But suddenly a strong wind began to blow, and along with the rain, heavy large hailstones began to fall. Regarded means look or gauge. Regarded means curtain. Curtain means veil. Curtain means veil. Regarded means looked or gauge. Hailstone. Hailstone means rain of snow or a pellet of snow. But the rain did not continue for a long time. Soon the raindrops were changed into hailstones. These truly did resemble like new silver coins. These hailstones looked like new silver coins. Resemble means to look like something. To look like something. The boys, exposing themselves to the rain, ran out to collect the frozen pearls. The children of Lencho went outside of the house to collect the hailstones which were compared to frozen pearls. It's really getting bad now, exclaimed the man. I hope it passes quickly. Lencho expressed his sorrow to his wife. Lencho thought that it could be very bad for the crops, and he also told that he hoped it would pass quickly, but it did not pass quickly. For an hour the hail rained on the house, the garden, the hillside, the cornfield, on the whole valley. The field was white as if covered with salt, but Lencho's expectations did not come true. The hailstone did not stop. It continued for an hour. It fell everywhere. It fell on garden, hillside, cornfield, on the whole valley. And the whole valley, the whole field looked white as if the field got covered with salt. Due to the hailstones, all the trees became bare. No leaves remained on the trees. Not a leaf remained. Remain means to stay. Destroyed means damaged or ruined. Damaged means ruined. The corn was totally destroyed. Destroyed means damaged. The flowers were gone from the plants. No flowers remained on the plants. Lencho's soul was filled with sadness. When the storm had passed, he stood in the middle of the field and said to his sons, A plague of locusts would have been left. A plague of locusts means attack of grasshoppers could have left some food for them. Would have left more than these. The hail has left nothing. This year we will have no corn. That night was a sorrowful one. All our work for nothing. There is no one who can help us. we will all go hungry this year. So when the hailstone stopped, Lencho's heart was filled with sadness, as he thought that a plague of locusts, means attack of grasshoppers, could have left some some portion of crops, but the hailstones had destroyed each and everything. So in that year they would have nothing. All, it means all their works were in vain. It means they got no reward because of their hard works, after their hard works. And he also thought that there was no one in the valley who could help him, because his house was the only one house in the whole valley. And Lencho was very sad, as he thought he could not feed the children throughout the year, because he was fully dependent upon his crops that got completely destroyed. What did Lencho hope for? The question is in simple past tense, so answer should be given in simple past tense. Lencho hoped for rain. Lencho hoped for a downpour, or at least a shower. Why did Lencho say the raindrops were like new coins? Lencho said that the raindrops were like new coins because the raindrops would give him good harvest, and good harvest would give him money. He also compared them to new coins because raindrops were as shiny as new coins. How did the rain change? Rain changed into hailstones. What happened to Lencho's field? Lencho's field was completely destroyed. Nothing had remained in the field. What were Lencho's feelings when the hail stopped? Lencho's heart was filled with sorrow. He had no hope for the next year. He thought his family members would remain hungry for the next year. Next part. But in the hearts of all who lived in that solitary means single or lonely house in the middle of the valley, there was a single hope, help from God. But in the hearts of his family members, there was a hope which was help from God. It means Lencho and the rest of his family members were hopeful that God would help them in such a critical situation. Don't be so upset. Even though this seems like a total loss, remember, no one dies of hunger. That is what they say, no one dies of hunger. That it means in such a sorrowful moment, they supported each other. That is needed in life. It means when we are in trouble, when we are in tension, we need the support of our near and dear ones. So instead of losing hope, the family members started supporting each other. They told not to be upset. They told to each other not to be upset in spite of the condition that it was a total loss, but they told to each other not to forget that no one died in hunger. All through the night, Lencho thought only of his one hope, the help from God. The help from God, whose eyes, as he had been instructed. Instructed means directed. Instructed means directed. So Lencho had only one hope, that was help from God. Lencho believed that God directed each and every one to do their works, and God is omnipresent and omnipotent. God could help a man to come out of his problems if the man would trust God. So Lencho had, throughout the night, Lencho had only one hope, that was help from God. According to Lencho, God could know what was inside a man's conscience. Pronunciation is conscience, and in a sense of right and wrong. Lencho was an ox of a man. Please underline the word. Ox of a man means a strong and hardworking person, working like an animal in the fields, but still he knew how to write. Lencho was a farmer but he knew very well how to write letters. The next Sunday, following means the next Sunday, at daybreak means sunrise, he began to write a letter which he himself would carry to town and place in the mail. It was nothing less than a letter to God. Next Sunday, after the sunrise, Lencho wrote a letter to God which he would carry to the town and would post it to the mailbox. That was nothing but a letter to God. What had he written in the content? God, he wrote, if you do not help me, my family and I will go hungry this year. I need 100 pesos in order to sow my field again and to live until the crop comes because the hailstone. He had written that letter. He requested God to help him to survive for the next year and to cultivate the land. He demanded 100 pesos from God, and it means he requested God to help him to survive for the next year. If you do not help me and my family and I, so he wrote to God that if God would not help him, he and his whole family would remain hungry and he could not be able to cultivate. And he also expressed his need. Okay, he wrote to God on the envelope, put the letter inside, and still trouble went to town. Then on the envelope he had written the address to God and then went to the town. At the post office, he placed a stamp on the letter and dropped it in the mailbox. So after writing the letter, he had gone to the city and took a stamp. He fixed the stamp and dropped the letter in the mailbox. One of the employees, who was a postman and also helped at post office, went to his boss laughing heartily and showed him the letter to God. The letter was received by a postman, means except doing his work as a postman, he also helped the other works of the post office. So he took the letter and went to his boss, and he studied, and he was laughing heartily as the letter was written to God. So it was a funny thing for the postman as it was never done before. Before Lencho, nobody ever tried to write letters to God. We believe in God, but our belief is not so strong that we can start a communication with God. Never in his career as a postman had he known that address. He had been working as a postman for a long time, but he had never seen that address before. The postmaster, a fat, here idea means plan, evident means clear, resolution means firm determination. The postmaster, a fat, amiable. Amiable means friendly and pleasant. Friendly and pleasant. So the postmaster was very friendly and pleasant. He was kind-hearted fellow. Also broke out laughing. Broke out means started laughing. Broke out means started. Started laughing. But almost immediately he turned serious and tapping the letter on his desk commented, "What faith! I wish I had the faith of the man who wrote this letter, starting up a correspondence with God." Correspondence means communication through letter writing. Okay, so the postmaster laughed, but he immediately turned serious to see the faith of that man. He was stunned to see the faith of that man who tried to set up a communication with God, and he also wished to have such kind of faith in his life. So, in order not to shake the writer's faith in God, the postmaster came up with an idea. Idea means plan. answer the letter. But when he opened it, it was evident means clear, that to answer it, he needed something more than goodwill, ink and paper. So the postmaster decided to answer the letter to keep Lencho's faith in God. But when he opened the letter, it was clear that ink, paper and goodwill was not enough to answer. But he stuck to his resolution, mental firm determination to help. He asked for money from his employees. He himself gave part of his salary, and several means many, friends of his were obliged to give something for an act of charity. So, as he was determined to help Lencho, he collected some money from his employees. He himself gave part of his salary, and he also collected money from his friends as an act of charity. It was impossible for him to gather together means collect the 100 pesos, but the amount was so high that he was unable to collect. So he was able to send the farmer only a little more than half. He put the money in an envelope addressed to Lencho, and with it a letter containing only a single word as a singular God. So he was unable to collect 100 pesos. He collected more than half. Then he put the money in an envelope with a letter on that, which consisted only one word, that was God. I will answer the questions later on. The next Sunday, Lencho came a bit earlier than usual to ask if there was a letter for him. Next Sunday, Lencho reached to the post office before the opening time and asked the postmaster if he had a letter. It was the postman himself who handed the letter to him, while the postmaster, experiencing the contentment means satisfaction, of a man who has performed a good deed means work, looked on from his office. So the postman handed the letter to Lencho, while the postmaster was looking at Lencho sitting from his room, trying to experience the satisfaction of a man who was going to get help by the postmaster. Lencho showed not the slightest means little bit, slightest means very small, a little bit, containing means having, obliged means to be thankful, surprise on seeing the money, such was his confidence. It means getting the letter, Lencho did not show a little bit surprise because of his deep faith, but he became angry when he counted the money. But Lencho's mood shifted. Lencho's mood got changed when he counted the money. Why? Because he did not get whatsoever he demanded. He got 70 pesos, and he thought that as God sent him the letter, God could never make counting mistake. God could not have made a mistake, nor could he have denied. Deny means refused. So as God did not refuse him, and so God could never make mistake. On the public writing table, immediately Lencho went up to the window to ask for paper and ink. On the public writing table, he started to write with much wrinkling of brow. Brow means the upper part of the forehead. Wrinkling means shrinking means some lines got occurred caused by the effort. Effort means attempt he had to make to express his ideas. When he finished, he went to the window to buy a stamp which he licked and then affixed. Affix means to fix the envelope with a blow of his fist. It means Lencho had immediately written another letter and then fix the letter. It means he licked the letter and fixed it with his blow. The moment the letter fell into the mailbox, the postmaster went to open it. It said, "God, of the money that I asked for." Asked for means demanded. "Only 70 pesos reached me. Send me the rest, since I need it very much." He had written to God that he had received only 70 pesos, and he requested God to give him the rest of the money as it was greatly needed. "But don't send it to me through the mail." But he also requested to God not to send the money through the mail, because all the post officials were Criminals. Here effort means try. Express means to show feeling or opinion. Need means require. So crook. Crook means cheater. And the chapter came to an end. Who or what did Lencho have faith in? Lencho have faith in God. What did he do? He wrote a letter to God asking for help. He demanded 100 pesos to feed the family and to cultivate the land again. Who read the letter? The letter was read by the postmaster. What did the postmaster do then? The postmaster decided to help Lencho. In order to help him, he collected money from his employees. He himself gave part of his salary, and he had raised funds as an act of charity from his friends, and then collected 70 pesos and kept it in the envelope and dropped it in the mailbox. Was Lencho surprised to find a letter for him with money in it? No, Lencho was not surprised. What made Lencho angry? Lencho became angry after opening the letter from God, as he did not get 100 pesos that was demanded. He got only 70 pesos. He thought that the rest of the money was taken by the post of his employees. Okay, so I will discuss some more questions in my next video. Thank you.